Hey, welcome back everybody to What They Should Have Done. We're still on Floor's Lava. Thank you for watching. Let's get to it.
All right, look at that. Stable, kind of runway, you know? Oh, okay.
What I saw there was that he did not check his surfaces. In parkour specifically, we're always checking surfaces. We're always trying to make sure that things are dusted off or that there's no water on them whatsoever, because we know that if we jump to something or we land on something and it's slick, we're just going to slide out anyway. So we've had enough experiences with falls and slip outs and things like that that we're always checking surfaces to make sure that they're make sure they're dry and they're sticky enough for us in our shoes. If he was unsure about the slickness of it, he should have gone out with his knees slightly bent instead of straight. When your legs are straight, you have no control over where you're moving, but if you have them slightly bent, you can move around a lot easier. So two things there: check your surfaces and keep your knees bent.
Slide in. Come on. There you go, Katie.
Nice.
Katie. All right, that's a... Yay! All right. Cool.
Now in the last episode I talked about the importance of knowing how to crab walk with your hands behind you, but I haven't talked too much about going down slants. Going down a slant, such as like when they were sliding down the painting, it's one of the best things you possibly could do is probably either just do slides down it or be in a crab walk position as you go downhill. I've gone down lots of hills that have like sediment and things that are really hard to move down, and it's really useful to know how to have your hands behind you, feet underneath you, and to be at an angle for you to slide down a hill like that.
Hurry up! Oh yeah!
Okay, so this is a little hard to show since I don't have a giant Easter Island head at my disposal, but this is landing 101, right? If you land on surfaces that are slanted, expect for your body to continue on the direction of the slant, right? Especially when there's less grip or it's slippery. So if you're landing on something that has a slant, such as this rock, you can expect that your legs are going to slip around the rock if you land in that fashion. Instead, it would be better off if you landed with your feet as close together as possible while squeezing your feet tight together, which we do a lot in parkour. We do so many precision jumps in parkour with our feet tight together, lots of different surfaces, lots of different angles, that it trains us to be ready for that kind of thing. One thing I did notice about on the show is that the eyes sink in, obviously, on the Easter Island heads. If he had put both his feet into one of the eyes, he probably would have had a better landing instead of his legs sprawling open, and then of course him getting hit in the middle of his tailbone while landing. All you parkour athletes know what happens when you split the fence.
No! I know!
Alright, so once again, precision landings, right? Being able to land precisely. You just watched that guy jump down to that box. He had one foot on the edge, he had one foot in the middle of the box. I wasn't quite sure what he was going for there, but he could have easily dropped his heel down when he landed, with his heel dropping down. So we call this the ankle thingy, where half your foot is on it, half your foot is off, and then your ankle drops down below. That can cause an impingement in your ankle, which is quite painful. Maybe that's the reason why they're taping people's ankles on the show. But the main thing here is that if you have your feet a little more symmetrical and you jump down in a way where your weight is going directly downward, then you're going to be able to do your landings a lot better. He obviously had too much forward momentum. That's probably why he put his foot to the front there to slow him down. He could have landed a little bit further into the box as well if he was unsure about his ability to land something like that, instead of just going for one leg on the side, one leg forward. So anyway, downward precision, land directly over the top of your feet, try not to step your foot forward, feel the weight of your body go straight down.
Mitchell's done it! There it is. Oh no! But oh no! Oh no, down goes Sean!
One thing I did want to mention that was actually pretty good about these guys is their reaction time, especially happening twice. I mean, how many times in parkour have we talked about what would happen if the earth just caved out from underneath us and we had to react and grab something? That's an actual scenario that goes through our heads sometimes, right? How fast could we react to something? And on this show, that just happened. That little painting thing slipped out from underneath that guy, and he had to turn around real quick and grab the pyramid, right? But it happened again later on when he was just on the pyramid facing forward, thinking about if he wanted to jump to this next area, and then suddenly they did some shaky thing beneath the surface. They made the pyramid shake. That made him lose his balance. He tried to re-grab again, but then he was consumed by the lava. So unfortunately, reaction time wasn't quick enough for that. I have a pretty good video of me saving myself from overshooting a jump, and my reaction time is to turn around and grab it and not fall off. So I'm going to put that up here so you can see what I'm doing.
To be the first triplet across! Do it! Oh.
Alright, so I was looking forward to this one. On the last episode, I talked about the upstart and being able to use your pulling strength and kicking your feet forward to get yourself swinging on objects that are longer than what you're normally used to swinging on, which is just your arms. And what happened in this one is that he was trying to swing himself to the steps of the lava course. He kept on counter swinging himself because of the way the net swings, right? One thing he did do right was get himself to the other side of the netting, which made him closer to the end, so that was a smart move. But one thing he did wrong is he just tried to flick himself forward. The common mistake, people think that they are pulling themselves forward when in fact they're just flipping in place, right? So what happened on those, right? When he was swinging himself forward, thinking he was swinging himself forward, because of the way the rope swinging works, when he pulled himself forward, what he did is he brought his legs in front, and then he pulled his legs behind him and flipped himself downward, right? So he flipped himself directly down to the floor. That actually is a technique used when we're trying to go from one bar to another bar and keep swinging one after the other, but it's not something that we use if we're trying to get to our feet. He should have been doing upstart, right? From his hanging position, he should have pulled up a little bit, kicked his feet forward, so now his weight and center of mass is traveling forward, and he's able to pull himself forward to the end, right? And that also works with swinging rings. It also works with swinging ropes, all right? It is not just for the bar by itself. So we talked about it before. I'm not going to explain it again. Upstart could have saved that guy.
Where his ear would be.
Yeah. Your right foot has got maybe a grip on the side.
You say that like I'm flexible. Danny, realizing he should have stretched before the game. A little bit more.
That's not going to be much of a grip.
Okay, so once again, the shoes come back to haunt you. They were trying to tell that one guy that there's a foothold on the side of the ear. Now, two things wrong with that. One, it wasn't very good advice, but two, was he even able to get his foot inside the hole, he would have needed to have smaller shoes to be able to do that. He had even though he was wearing decent parkour shoes for big drops or big precision landings, because he was wearing New Balance ones. Those are actually pretty common ones to be worn. But if he was going to do more climbing, or knew he was going to be doing more climbing, probably would have wanted a thinner shoe, something that was a little tighter around his feet, so that he could more easily get his toes onto that area where he was trying to climb. So he was reaching around the back and also had to get his foot in place like that, so his toes on the edge right there. And when I'm doing that, I only have a small part of my foot on there. So if my foot has this big piece of foam on it, I can't articulate my foot in a way to be able to actually use my foot as an anchor or as a way to post my body weight over the top, right? So even if that advice had gone through, it probably wouldn't have worked out well for that guy, right? You need to be able to articulate your feet and have that ability to hold yourself up on a single point of your toe like that if you want to use those kind of climbing skills, right? So once again, it's the shoes.
Okay, ready? We gotta get moving.
Okay, so right here we have a setup similar to what was going on when that guy jumped off the pyramid, the obelisk, and then jumped into the arc, right? And you have that slanted surface of the pyramid that's pretty slick. And you know what? This is kind of slick too, all right? So it's kind of slick too, so I'm not just making this up. But one of the other cool things about parkour training that we go through is try to make yourself go into as many different positions to jump from as possible, right? So that when we get into weird positions like they had on the show, we'd be able to dominate that kind of thing. Not only that, but that guy, when he was jumping, he didn't even he barely used his arms, right? He kind of swung one arm a little bit as if he was kind of running, a little bit like that. And I know he had to turn at a slight angle to get to where he had to go, but he could have easily leaned a little bit more forward, swung his arms a little bit harder, and he probably would have been able to use his hands to push his feet up on top of it and even get one foot on top of it. Heck, he could have done a side monkey kind of thing like the last kid did, right? But no, instead we got the beached whale, right? So thank you for that. How do you get yourself to jump higher? Well, just check out my YouTube video. I made one about it. So once again, I talked about this in the last episode, right? But that reaction time. Now, she was sideways. In that sideways position, she could actually push back into the wall. So instead of going this way and jumping like that, she was still sideways. She could have pushed this way and turned herself toward the other wall. That would have made it even easier for her, right? So she could have easily been here and jumped over to the other side, no problem. Now, yes, this does take training, okay? I understand that. But the idea is that these people with just like one parkour class probably could have done this course way, way better had they gone and done that. So what should you do? Enroll your kids in a parkour class or get a private coach. I'm available for online classes.